Thank you, Namgil, for agreeing to share with us some of your experience during this COVID-19 series. And I would like to start off by just asking this question. When this crisis hit your country, it hits the whole world, your country, and you are in hospitality and retail, right? So how did you feel when this whole thing just happened?
Okay. First of all, thank you, Jeremy, for having me here. It's a great honor to be talking about this, because most of the time I actually share with you all my problems, and if there's anything I can give back, I'm really grateful for that. So when the crisis first hit, I think if I have to look back now, I realized I had like 3 stages of like how I processed it. So the first stages was like denial and basically not caring. So when it first happened in China and other countries, or even in Nepal, I was basically not paying too much attention because it didn't really affect me. It didn't affect me directly. So I was a bit like avoiding and just trying to go on. And later on, when it actually hit me, that's when I realized oh, finally it's caught up to me. And my first reaction was, how do I save myself from it? I think quickly was I was just trying to look inward, and I was just trying to escape this whole thing. And I was a little stressed at that moment. I was planning on a retreat, closing the company. And the third stage was actually, being a leader, we have a bigger responsibility here. Right. And there's a lot of people that depend. And that's when I actually really got to thinking from a really more from a higher mind. And then that's when I decided that actually this is a perfect opportunity for me to now, showcase our leadership. Yeah.
So, we have talked about core values, right? Since the time I met you for 2 years that we worked together, right? So how has this core values helped you make some of these critical decisions?
Yes. So Jeremy, what I realized, we always talk about, teamwork and, all of this, serve others. So these are a few of the core values, right? So like I said before, when things hit the fan, we were actually ignoring our core values and we were just thinking for ourselves. So after that, we were like, this is probably the time to actually put these values. Core values comes out when you're in this difficult and very tough situation. That's when you actually use those to help you get through. So we said, if there was any other time to be for our team, it's this time, when they're feeling hopeless, when they're feeling insecure, when they're not, when they are very unclear about the future. We said, they are the ones actually who are most vulnerable. So how can we actually make a difference? Mm-hmm. And that's when we started to be, in touch on a daily basis. Of course, we're managing multiple companies, and each company was in a different financial position. We had to make some adjustment, but we made sure that all the jobs was going to be secure, and we are actually working towards preparing ourselves to actually come out strong after this. One of the example I like to share was there was this lady who was working in a housekeeping department, and her family was not getting the food and all this ration, and she was a bit concerned. So because we had this daily huddle and she communicated well with the team, we were quickly able to realize the issue and solve it. And that actually really made her feel really great about the company, and also for her family. They saw what it actually means, working with a very good team, and that made us feel really great.
I think that's really amazing, right? The core values coming alive and the team really rising up. And this thing about teamwork and really bringing the values from the leadership team all the way down to the lowest levels of the company. It's something that I know you have dreamt about this, we've talked about this. And interesting is the crisis that really brought out the core values.
We always said that it's all about serving others. We said another thing was how can we make a difference in this situation, right? So I was very happy that 2 of our company teams were actually working on a relief program, distribution program to people that was the most affected. Our company supported, but team got involved. So they actually came in, from home. Of course, they took all the safety measures, but they were packing goods and then distributing to the locality. Wow. So it was again, the other values of serving others was coming to life. So I really felt the alignment, and all of this didn't happen right away, right? So it was I think the long-term process of trying to, making our team aware of these values, working on it. And I think, and when it actually happened, it was so motivating for us as a leader to see that.
So I want to ask you another question, and that is, every business is now struggling with this question of how to pivot, right? How do you pivot in this crisis? And you shared with me a very interesting thing that your Le Chapa restaurants did. We all know Le Chapa is fine dining. And so tell us, how did you pivot that business into the frozen food delivery, and how did your staff, how did they come up with this idea, and how did they execute this?
There's a lot of questions. It's like, how do we differentiate ourselves right now in the market? How do we even maximize our capacity? And I also spoke to you a few times about this, and you gave me some great examples of businesses in Taiwan, and during there was some sort of issue there as well.
Yeah, the SARS crisis, right?
SARS crisis, and how they actually managed to go into like a cleaning businesses and things like that. Because we have a very strong core team, we're actually talking on a daily basis, and so we said, guys, what are the things we can do, looking at current scenario and looking at our like expertise and our connection, our capacity, what is the things that we can do? And even though we are a restaurant, like one of our group is the restaurant thing, we work with the farmers. So we host farmers market every Saturday. Mm-hmm. And that means we're connected with the farmers. And we had regular guests and other guests that was actually visiting the space. So we actually developed two business models during this time. So one was actually a grocery delivery business, which was actually already up and running, and we've been getting a lot of reviews. The interesting one was how do we actually get the small machine up and running so quickly? I think it's all about our team kind of being aligned with the priorities that we had. The thing kind of came live in about 3 to 4 days.
Wow.
And yeah. So now it's actually, providing, again, great value to the customers that are stuck at home, delivering fresh organic vegetables and other produce that our farmer market vendors were producing. Whoa. Our team was also getting motivated because they were getting involved and they were actually making difference in the current scenario. So they were also feeling motivated.
Amazing.
And also what I did was, for this business, we actually allowed our team to invest, and so they were all part of this whole company as well.
Great! Wow.
So that's why they were really motivated to, and it was surprisingly, it was actually working better than our restaurant. Like what we realized during this time is like everyone's home, everyone's having to cook. This was like a lot of challenges, right? Every day you're preparing something, you just spend holidays. Of course, it was proposed by my chef, but he said, how about, we do some great, amazing dishes in our restaurant. How about we create a quality Nepal-made frozen food items and then deliver it through our delivery business model and through department stores, and even on a long term, like even supplying to lodges and hotels in the region who have probably not too much knowledge about the quality and things. So I was like, wow, this is, I would buy this, this kind of fulfill. And I was like, this would be amazing kind of idea. And actually we already went into kind of like a product development mode. We had like kitchen empty, and we had team who were like able to come. So they already gone into like product development. And I think next week we're going to have some samples ready.
I think this is really amazing. It's like the pivoting ideas don't just come from you, it comes from your team, right? Because everybody just went around, they just share the values and share the priorities.
Of course. If I'd say if it was all about me, then we would still be in the same position. Right. I think it's all about creating that circle of your close, really motivated team, and kind of like giving them that option to open up and share. And most of the ideas actually come from them.
Wow.
You're just helping there to facilitate, motivate.
I think this is really amazing, because when I started working with you a couple years back, right, we talk about this question of what's really leadership, and I can see that your leadership has unleashed the potential of your people, and that's really amazing. It's really, really encouraging to hear that. It's great. So one last question, since we started this whole scaling up process in 2018, I know you've been implementing stuff. So how do you feel that the whole experience of scaling up has prepared you for this crisis?
Well, I would say, Jeremy, I feel like there's so many different components and so many things, and finally seeing it kind of makes sense. I was like, at one point we were trying to understand and grasp the whole concept and everything at the end of the workshop, but it doesn't happen, right? It takes like a whole long-term process to understand. And I think if I specifically have to say a few things that I really took, was definitely one was like the meeting rhythms. I think we started the daily huddle, and we started that weekly.
Wow.
We had this habit of being in touch, being communicated, sharing, trusting each other. So
Wow.
that's what actually led us to continue,
Great.
even though we are not in our, even though we are not in our offices space
Right,
anymore.
right.
Now, another thing I really liked about was the one-page strategy. I mean, it's always been a struggle to develop that, and I'm sure everyone else also, agrees with me. But I mean, there was no other time but to actually implement that right now. So we actually created a 3-month, instead of doing a month, 1 year, we created a 3-month goal, because this is like, we realize this is like a time of urgency, and we have to think short term right now, and of course we have to think long term, but we have to act short term. So we're like, what are the 3 months goals, and break it down into monthly, and then we broke it down to weekly, but every one of our team was sharing the same file. So it was this idea about creating this very simple vision strategy that people understand, and then everyone kind of understands and they know what to do. I think Scaling Up always talks about people, right? I mean, and I think that's all. I think that has been one of our like very core value, kind of putting that always in mind,
right?
How they're feeling. We want to be also give everything, and we want to come out strong, and we want to always think from a very business point of view. But this is also a time where we have to think from a personal point of view, right? How they're going through. We don't need to push them too much. So this is also what I learned, is like, okay, one thing is great that you're trying to do so much during this lockdown and everything, but as a leader, we also have to pay attention, like, not to push people too much,
right,
and not to like overwork them. And, and I think that's something I've actually taken that really seriously, and I've learned during this time.
Wow. So thank you for taking this time to share your experience. I think it's really very, very inspirational. I talk to so many leaders every week. I think they really need like a company that is finding so much positive things in this crisis. And I think you are really showing them the way. So I really appreciate your sharing your time, right? It's amazing.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thanks to you. I think, what I did was I actually, I think it just kind of makes sense. Whatever we worked in the time when everything was good, it helped me to prepare for like this kind of time, right?
Exactly.
Because I had a relationship with you, I was learning so much from you and other coaches that I work with. Right. Actually, like almost like preparing for this kind of situation, right?
Yeah, so, exactly.
So I'm going to continue doing that.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, have a nice day, and let's keep in touch. Okay, take care.
Thank you.